Hey, it's Jack. We got a new coffee cup story today, although I don't have a coffee cup. Today's all about a letter. One day in 1990, a friend of my father's handed me a letter written entirely in Russian. Can you tell me what this says? Which was a good question, since most people in North Alabama couldn't read Russian. At the time, I was 28 years old, married, father of a young child, and working as an aerospace engineer. 2 years earlier, I had left the Army, where I'd served as a Russian linguist. I was a little rusty, but I could still translate Russian just fine. When I first read it, I had no idea that this one letter would change the next 15 years of my life. The letter had come from some college students in Donetsk, in what was then the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. If you're younger, that may not mean anything to you, but in 1990, Ukraine was still part of the Soviet Union and not an independent country. For nearly 70 years, it had been one of the most closed societies on Earth. Americans simply didn't travel there unless the Soviet government wanted them there. Behind the Iron Curtain, almost everything was wrapped in secrecy, suspicion, and mystery. But in 1990, thanks to Gorbachev, things had loosened up some. The students explained that they'd grown up as atheists, which wasn't unusual. The Soviet government worked furiously to erase religion from public life. Christianity was not illegal, but it was close. Most of the evangelical leaders I came to know had spent time in prison camps. Somehow, though, these college students had discovered my father's friends' radio broadcasts. Week after week they listened, and through those broadcasts, they came to faith in Jesus. Now they had another problem. They wanted to learn more about the Bible, but they were afraid to approach local Christians. The KGB had informers inside many evangelical churches, and they feared that trusting the wrong person could land them in prison or destroy their careers. So they did the only thing they could. They wrote a letter to the man whose voice they'd been hearing on the radio. After talking it over, we reached a remarkable conclusion, which was, instead of just writing them back, we would go visit them. We didn't just go, of course. We did write and coordinate. But we had an unusual little team: Jack the missionary, Jack Sr., and me, Jack Jr. Before long, we were just the three Jacks. We got Bibles and Bible study materials and anything else we thought would help them. Then we got to the hard part: obtaining permission to enter the Soviet Union. Today, if you want to visit most countries, you buy a ticket and go. Visiting the Soviet Union in 1990 wasn't like that. You couldn't simply buy a ticket to the city you wanted to visit. In the Soviet Union, you had to obtain a Soviet visa, fly to Moscow, and get permission to go to the city you wanted. We fully expected to be watched. The KGB or other intelligence agencies watched all foreigners. We were entering a world that Americans had rarely been allowed to see. None of that stopped us. We thought we could get away with it. So we got on a plane and flew to Moscow, carrying suitcases filled with Bibles and Bible study materials, headed toward a city called Donetsk, and a group of young Christians we had never met. We thought we were making one mission trip. Instead, that letter became the beginning of 15 years of ministry to what we now call the former Soviet Union, mostly Ukraine. It led to friendships I still treasure, lessons I never expected to learn, and enough stories to fill this entire series. And it all began with one letter written in Russian from the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic.